Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, scholars and dignitaries, welcome to another episode. Welcome to my world. So, I want to share with you a story about an extraordinary person. This man suffered a great deal, but he isn't to be admired for what he suffered, but what he did while he suffered. And just to say, as you'll see, he made the most out of his predicament because he was, at base, a kind, forgiving, and optimistic fellow. Norman Cousins graduated from Columbia University in New York City. He joined the staff of the New York Evening Post in 1934. He was known for his prolific writing and has held numerous positions in journalism as writer, editor, and editor-in-chief. Cousins held a purist philosophy towards journalism, believing that one should try to serve, nurture, and safeguard literature. He was also politically active in a number of humanitarian causes and received several humanitarian awards for his work, such as with nuclear disarmament. But in 1964, Cousins experienced a sudden onset case of a crippling disease known as ankylosing spondylitis. It's an excruciating, painful, crippling, and often fatal disease of the connective tissues. He was told that he had one chance in 500 of recovery, a rare, if any, prognosis for survival. Being unable to accept this, Cousins developed his own recovery program. He developed a highly unusual and radical procedure for self-healing. Cousins did research on the biochemical basis of human emotions, which he long thought was the key to human being success in fighting illness. He found research showing that negative emotions, stress, anger, frustration, and so on, compromised the immune system and led to illness, or at the very least interfered with the recovery process. His research also began to point to a newly discovered dynamic, the power of the mind to heal the body. It was a belief he knew, but now maintained even as he battled his own disease. Cousins decided to immerse himself into humor as a primary treatment modality. He checked himself out of a hospital and into a Manhattan hotel. He then hired a nurse to read humorous stories to him, and he watched comedies on television, such as Candid Camera, and hilarious movies, such as the Marx Brothers, and they were the best. And he did this over and over again. He knew that laughter was the secret ingredient that could reset his immune system. Laughter makes everything better. With this, he found that 10 minutes of hearty laughter could produce 2 hours of pain-free sleep. He quickly discovered that these periods of laughter would reconcile the intense pain he was in for hours and even sometimes for days. He also noticed that his inflammation levels were lower after the humor treatments, and this was proven by his blood work. Again, even morphine didn't kill the pain, but with this treatment, it proved to be so effective that he was able to go off all painkillers and sleeping pills in a very little time, and after 6 months, he was back on his feet, back to work in 2 years, and after several years of continuous laughter therapy, he experienced little to no pain in day-to-day living. He was eventually able to completely reverse the illness, and again, this was documented as a recovery occurrence in an area where only 1 in 500 recovered. So he maintained a positive attitude, another example of the power of positive thinking, and this was easier for him than perhaps others, even with this discouraging news, because he was a man who always had a baseline optimism, a wonderful kindness, and he had a robust love for life itself. Truly, he was a kind and gentle man. So, because of his struggles with his illness, he soon discovered what is now termed laughter therapy, and he detailed the process elements of laughter therapy in the book he wrote in 1979, Anatomy of an Illness as Perceived by the Patient. Norman Cousins was a lifetime believer in the power of faith and hope and in the realism of optimism and the power of positive thinking. One of his well-known lines was, quote, "Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. That is the great tragedy in life." Cousins penned other notable works and books, including The Celebration of Life, a dialogue on immortality and infinity, again, showing how to use our minds to heal our bodies. He and his wife Ellen raised 4 children. Cousins passed on November 30th, 1990, at age 75 of heart failure. But he survived years longer than his doctors predicted, 10 years longer after his first heart attack, 26 years after his illness was first diagnosed, and 36 years after his doctors first diagnosed his heart disease. And as important, his quality of life was much higher than anyone could predict. Oh, and his laughter therapy was finally recognized in 1989 when it was acknowledged in the Journal of the American Medical Association that laughter therapy could help improve the quality of life for patients with chronic illnesses, and that laughter, especially, has an immediate symptom relieving effect. Today, thanks in large part to Norman Cousins, laughter therapy has become a mainstream tool in the arena of psychotherapy. Hey, be safe, be well, learn to laugh, and may God bless.